Hello everyone, welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. I'm going to do a tag for the first time in a very long time. So I have done many tags, but I haven't done them in quite a while. I feel like my video schedule just filled up with review books, mid-month wrap-ups, things that were seasonally appropriate. So I haven't done them really, but I'm gonna do it now. As I saw this tag on Berna's Bookish Adventures. Berna over there, we are great friends. We read a lot of books together. And I really wanna do this tag as I feel like it's nice to do a refresher on this. This is the books reviewer tag, and I would like to just think about it again and also let you all know, since I have had a huge jump in subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing, how I review books. So here we go. So the first question is, where do you review books? And I only really do it on Goodreads. Unless I have an ARC copy, then I will publish it to the Amazon website or something like it. However, I don't tend to review books in many places, and I do want to get better at it. I know Storygraph is something that's been booming lately, and I do have an account there, but I haven't been up to date with it and keeping it on track, so I do need to update it, and then I'll review books there as well. But currently, it's just Goodreads until I can find the energy to move over all of my new books that I've read. So question number 2 is, how do you review books? What star rating do you use? And I use a 5-star rating. I'm very selective about what I give 5 stars, but I tend to give a lot of 5 stars out because I'm reading really great books. I don't read books that I'm not enjoying. I tend to put them down if I am finding they're not quite my cup of tea. So I am very selective about what I read typically. I try a lot of things and I'm selective with what I continue reading. And so because of that, I give a lot of high ratings. However, I am very particular about whether it's a 5-star or a 4-star book. And then if it's even a 3-star or a 4-star, I'm very thoughtful about what I give to a book and why it deserves that rating. So the next question is really a challenge. It says, convince me in 5 words to read your favorite book or one of your favorite books, which first of all is hard because who has a favorite book in this world? There are so many favorites. And then secondly, 5 words? Like, seriously? So I am going with Vanity Fair by William Thackeray. This one, let me pick my words wisely because I only have 5. I'm gonna say this one is satire, Napoleonic War, and morally gray. So satire, Napoleonic War, morally gray. That's why I think you should read this book. It's great. So the next question is, which is your hardest book to review and why? I'm going to go with The Greek Escape by Karen Swan. This one is nothing like it sounds or looks like on the cover, but because I didn't know any information other than the book and cover and description, I was in for such a pleasant surprise. So I feel like when I was reviewing it, and even now trying to figure out what to say about it, I can't really say what it's about. Because if I tell you, you're not going to get that same joy I did from being like, wait, this is not the book that it was described as. It's about Chloe, who is a personal assistant, essentially, to those who are rich and famous, or people who don't want to be famous but are very rich. It's an adventure about growth, personal interest. It also talks about Chloe as she's growing, but there is a mystery in it. And I don't want to tell you how much or what it's about, because like I said, I had so much joy. I can't even talk about this. I had so much joy from not knowing the whole plot that when I finally was reading it, I was like, something's different about this book. And that's why I don't want to say anything more. I think it was great. I gave it 4 stars, but it's really hard to describe. So the next question is, are there any books that you don't rate and why if you don't rate them? So for me, I tend to rate everything that I read just because I can find something that I can rate, whether it be the writing quality or how smooth the transitions are in the books. And I'm not talking about personal experiences because that's something I think you should never rate in memoirs and nonfiction. However, there is something about the writing style and how it flows that you can rate. So that's why I tend to rate with those. But there is one book I have not rated, and that was The Poetry of Robert Burns, because as much as I read it and it felt like awful homework for me, it was all because of the editing brain that I have, where it's Scottish lingo and phrasing and misspelling of words because that's their culture and that's the time it was written in. And I can't handle that in my brain. It's a me problem. And so I didn't rate it because I felt like that's unfair to this book and to the poetry, because I know I'm personally the one who struggled with it and it's not the book's fault. So the next question is, if a book has terrible reviews, do you still read it? Yes, I do, because I don't always have the same opinions as others. And sometimes it does make me sit back and think, and I'll be like, well, I'll try this book and maybe I won't like it, so I won't finish it. But at the same time, I definitely can have differing opinions than a lot of people. For example, I am a huge Agatha Christie fan, and I read The Passenger to Frankfurt, really enjoyed it, but I know that almost everyone in the Agatha Christie community hates this book. But I really enjoyed it. It was full of espionage and high action, but it wasn't a mystery. And I think that's what threw people off with this book. So I still loved it, but not many people do. Very few people do, actually. So that's one example of a book that I tend to really like, but I know most people don't. So I still read books even if they have terrible reviews. So the next question is, where do you read reviews outside of BookTube? I use Goodreads, and I also use my library. My library, and I'm sure almost every library, but at least my library has the section where you can review books. And I don't tend to put reviews there, but I do read the reviews that people put there. When I'm reading a library book or taking one out, seeing if I'm gonna like it, I can read their reviews. And I find that's very helpful as well. So a couple different places. I tend not to do Amazon or any big companies like that. It's just more what looks interesting to me and what sounds interesting to me, and then the reviews, depending on where I'm already looking. The next question is, at what point do you read reviews of the book? So that's like before, during, or after. I always read reviews after to see how the people feel about it, different aspects, especially if I'm struggling between a 3 or a 4 star, or a 4 or a 5 star. That kind of thing can really help me figure out and to think about different things. It just is a way I can help narrow what I loved about the book. And then also sometimes I read them before if it's something that I've heard controversial things about. I like to check those out. And then during is only if I am struggling with the book and I can look up a review and it says, this book is really awful until you hit 100 pages. And then I can be like, okay, let me try 100 pages and then I'll continue on and see if I don't like it or not. So those are typically when I read reviews, but mostly it's after, as I like to go into books pretty surprised. I like to go in blind a lot of the time. And I guess the second part of that question is, do you seek out reviews that are different than yours or different opinions than yours? And yes, especially with books that I really hate, which aren't many, but when I do find books I really hate, I like to look at why people loved it and see if I misunderstood something. Or sometimes if I really love a book, I just like to see, for curiosity's sake, why people hated the book. So I do like to look at opposite reviews, but it doesn't really change my opinion unless it's something that I didn't think about as a problem before. So the next 2 questions go hand in hand. The first one, or maybe the second one, but this is what's first on my Goodreads list, is the highest rated book that you hated. Now, I don't tend to hate a lot of books because, like I said, I put down books I'm not interested in. But this book has a rating of, 4.42. And it is the Mark of the, not the Mark of the Lion, As Sure as the Dawn. It's part of the Mark of the Lion series. It's book 3, and I gave it 2 stars. This book I just felt was not needed, and I really didn't like how it took the characters that I didn't really like in the first book and then went on a tangent with them. So I felt like it was a wasted reading experience. So that's my least loved book out of the top rated books on my shelf. And the next one is the reverse of that, which is which one is rated the lowest by average, but that you loved. I've already talked about it. It's The Passenger to Frankfurt. This one has an average rating, of 2.93 stars on Goodreads. I gave it 4 stars. This is just the perfect example of a book I loved, but not many people do. So that's my book I love that most people don't like. So that is the book tag. I will also mention that this book tag was created by Read a Book Gem, and I will leave her and Berna linked down below to their videos if you would like to go check out the original and Berna's version of this tag. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below about how you review books, why you review them. anything in that realm. Please also like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you would like to, and I'll see you next time with another video. Bye for now.